I'm just dragging Florida in
It's
this
cool.
episode.
Listen, we moved out here, and some of the reasons were some of the reasons were where we came from. It's fair.
Absolutely no plan. I came here with the timeline of I'm gonna try it out for 3 months. In 3 months, my brother was about to get married, so I'm gonna go back for the wedding. If I don't have a job and if I'm like uncertain of what to do, I'll come back.
Wow.
And the day I moved here,
did you ever have that bout of loneliness?
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. That's why me and Ashley dated.
Welcome to the I Feel You vodcast. I am your host, Eddie Wise, and after just a week off, we are back with the first episode of Season 5. And on this episode, we have the pleasure of speaking to Elijah Da Costa. Elijah is a Brooklyn photographer with a background in music production, media, and communications. His enthusiasm for introspection and nostalgia are embedded into his passion project, We Are Human, a time capsule with the intention of documenting the growth and experiences we have as humans. When he's not taking photos at the function, he can also be found drumming for his music group, Office Hours. On this episode, we speak on being a man in today's society, the beauty of New York community, and the We Are Human revamp. Thank you so much for watching. If you're back here for another season, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you can be notified when we have episodes coming up. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere where this can be found, thank you so much for giving us your time and listening. We really do appreciate you. And now, without further ado, enjoy the episode.
I'm debuting my newspaper boy look with this hat. Everybody likes to clown me, but you know what? I don't care.
It's a great It's a great hat. And,
thank you for validating me, man.
It's a great hat, and it gives me it's like some Puerto Rican, New York vibes for sure. I think mostly because of you ever seen In the Heights?
Yes.
It's pretty much the vibe now.
There's a character from Chavo, I think, also that is it El Chavo? You remember that old show novela like?
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's someone I think that dressed like that too. Or
I know
something.
the show you're talking about, but I have no idea who you're talking about.
I don't know the character name either, but a lot of people at my old job at Univision would clown
That's
me
what
for
they're
that
saying?
too. Yeah.
Okay, old people. It's okay. Don't worry about them.
Yeah.
They ain't got nothing on you, man.
Okay, thanks for validation.
Yeah, of course. Welcome to the podcast, bro.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah.
I'm pretty honored. I'm nervous, but I'm here and I'm ready. Feeling a lot of gratitude.
Sick. I'm glad, bro. I'm glad. This is the first episode of season 5, which is pretty wild. And I'm happy to have you here on the show just because I feel more comfortable with you. I think just because we've had so many conversations before, and although you feel nervous, I don't. So I want to impart that onto you.
Good. Okay,
and make
cool.
you feel that,
We're
there's
relaxed.
there's nothing to be nervous about. We're just having a conversation. We're chilling. We're hanging out. And I think that one of the reasons why I'm excited to have you on the show is just because you are someone I feel I have a lot of similarities to. One big thing is, you moved to New York to pursue a dream.
Yeah.
You did it with, you don't have all the money in the world, obviously. So you did it on the resources that you did have. You are Hispanic. You come from a pretty big, tight-knit family, I'm assuming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you are someone who is you have a very kind soul.
Oh, thank you, man.
And not to say that I have a kind soul, but I gravitate to
you
people
have your
who
moments.
do. I have my moments, yeah, exactly.
No,
there
I'm
you
just
go.
messing with you, man.
No, I gravitate to people who do, and I think that you've been very kind to, me and my friends, and I'm glad to have you in the friendship circles now because,
yeah,
the way we met was like super kind of.
It was a little passive.
Yeah, right.
And we've talked about this too, like how we're always in like different headspaces, and sometimes like where you are doesn't always align with where other people are, and there's a lot of things that you constantly still have to learn about yourself and feel like, okay, like I need to just get my priorities straight. And sometimes you're just like spiraling. And I think that's where I was when we first met. So it it just happened in a divine timing way later on as we got closer and started hanging out more.
You had a lot going on, so did I, of course.
Yeah.
And one thing I will mention to the guests, because it's a funny moment, and not a funny moment, but it's funny to know. But you helped edit a lot of the
for
some
season
of the
2.
I Feel You stuff. Yeah,
season 2, and you're on season 5 now, so like also like congratulations, because this is an exciting endeavor, and like every new chapter and season, like you always try to approach it maybe differently. I would assume, and it's like an exciting new endeavor. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And a lot of credit to Christine, of course, because she's been pushing this podcast a lot, and it wouldn't have we wouldn't have half of the stuff that we have here or the guests that we have without her pushing them. So, and it's funny because you and Christine actually started getting a lot closer when you kind of came back into the fold.
Yes.
And I thought that was really fun because I just didn't expect that to be the friendship, and I'm glad it happened that way, because now we can like hang out more. It's fun. She
declared that very, very like randomly, but in a very wholesome way. Yeah. And if I could just give the story a little bit,
please. Yeah.
I was at one of it's the rec room, right? Like the showcase that they do over there.
It's Safe and
Sounds. I wanted to go. I had a friend in town that also does like music and is in the local music scene. So I was like, this could be fun to go and meet people. And Christine told me that she was going to be there. We started talking about friends or whatever. And I was like, oh, one of my best friends is Filipino, Seth, shout out. And she was like, yeah, so is your other one. And I was like, what? Did you just, what? I'm very confused here. And ever since then, we've just been cool. And then, I obviously have like a good friendship with Anthony. I've been around you more, and I consider you someone that like I enjoy hanging out with, and the pool tourney and other hangs. So y'all were the championships.
For those who don't know, Christine is half Filipino.
Yes, there's the context.
It's funny that she said that. Of course she did. No, she's so friendly. And that's really cool. By the way, the pool tourney was fun. We'll get to that part later on, just because there are a few things that I want to mention, things that happened in that space specifically, that you've put together. But to start off, I want to talk a little bit about your experience here in New York, starting with, why you came here. I know that most people come here with kind of big dreams and aspirations, and a lot of people think about making that move, but most people don't. And then a lot of the people who actually do make the move don't last too long, because it's very difficult. And I want to talk about those difficulties. But what inspired you to get here, and what were your inspirations and your biggest pushes to come out to the city and pursue your dream?
Damn, this is just such a well-worded question. Like, you're so articulate, man. God. Well, it's like a multitude of things. I think for me, there's someone that I don't actually talk to anymore. We were like kind of friends. I mean, they're still around, but he once told me something, because he was moving to New York, and I always thought about it. I was too nervous to do it. I didn't really feel like it was for me. And he was like, bro, you like deserve to take a chance on yourself. And I'll never tell him this, and I guess now, whatever. But like, that stuck with me for a while. And but like during like before the pandemic, like no one knew, obviously that was gonna happen. Like there were thoughts about potentially making that jump, and when that happened, everyone had to slow down and be forced to not do anything. So I was like, okay, well, let me just save a bunch of money. That's what I did at my parents', and then I took a trip to visit friends. I would come here often. And there was one time during my birthday of 2021, it was. So yeah, like 2 years ago, I was here alone. And I just came back to work after that, like 2 weeks off. And I was like, bro, I need to come here, man. And my manager at the time, the news director that I had worked for, he was like, I walked into the office and he was like, so you're going to leave, aren't you? And he already knew. And I was like, yeah, man, I think I have to. I just felt like I was in a point in my career where I was there for too long. Nothing was really changing. And I just wanted the excitement and the thrill of like trying something new. And I had a lot of people that were supporting me. I remember the conversation I had with my mom, and she was like, emotional and was like, you just have to go and do it. Like, try. You wanted to go to college in New York, and like, I wanted to go to NYU, and I didn't have the SAT scores for that or money for that. Fair. But I thought it would be fun, and I didn't have like any college experience. I lived at home for a long time and just worked all the time. So I wanted to just try something new, and I went for it. And I either decided to like use the money that I had in savings to either like maybe I considered buying a house in Florida.
Wow.
Gross. Like,
gross.
You know
gross.
what? No shade to anyone that has a house in Florida, but like, I'd be anchored there. I just felt like I'd rather use that savings to like see what happens. And I had absolutely no plan. I came here with the timeline of I'm going to try it out for 3 months. In 3 months, my brother was about to get married. So I'm going to go back for the wedding. If I don't have a job and if I'm like uncertain of what to do, I'll come back.
Wow.
And the day I moved here, I got a job.
Yeah.
Like, someone called me and I was like, oh shit, okay. Like, this is going to be, I guess this is the start of that journey.
Yeah.
And I will never go back. Like, I love it here.
For sure. I love the way
long-winded answer.
No, it's great. I love the way that you talk about it because it's very present-minded. I think that it was similar when I had moved out with Joseph already being here, Joe already being here. I haven't called him Joseph in so long. Oh my gosh. Joking. With Joe already being here and Franco having made the move as well, I was thinking very similar things. Is that I've been here forever in Orlando. I haven't really taken a chance on myself at all in any situation. Like, I was doing acting and it was great. Musical theater, community theater in Orlando that had a lot of opportunity there. And it was going really well. And I think that it just got to the point where it's funny because it got to the point where people will start saying it like, you're going to leave, aren't you? Like, eventually my mom was like, when I told her, she was like, yeah, I knew it was going to happen eventually. She wasn't even that emotional. She was emotional, but she was like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm glad it's happening now. Right. My dad was the complete opposite. He was sad and not happy about it, but just because he didn't want me to like leave because he loves me. But yeah, there are those moments where you just start to just, I guess, understand and come to terms with the fact that there's nothing in that place for you, right? When you're somewhere where there's nothing for you, you feel that. Yeah. And I'm sure it's, like I said, very similar in terms of our stories. And I'm glad you took that risk. And I'm glad it was for you and it wasn't for the potential, opportunity or like, I can get, try to get rich or famous in New York, it wasn't or like there make was it or whatever. Like
dangling in front of me that was like, you need this or want this or like this will benefit you. Like I had no idea what I was getting into. Like my initial desire was to pursue like the We're Human project. And I did that very briefly when I moved here because I had all the time in the world. For sure. And once I started working, I like got so caught up in the fast pace of the full life time, here. But like tough. Still like it was such a crazy whirlwind of emotions to like be here and like, whoa, this is an adjustment. Like, I don't know, it's a lot. You
took a big risk, and if you can speak a little bit on that, but why do you feel like taking risks is like so important in just our lives, and what have you learned from taking that risk?
This is a good question. So I think that the importance of taking risks is more so because like, I mean, it's kind of like you're never going to know what happens if you don't say something, if you don't do something like at the foundation of it. And it's like, if you really enjoy, I don't know, like if you're in a position, actually, this is a better way to word it. Like if you're in a position, and this is what my old supervisor would tell me a lot, where like, I don't have kids, I don't have student loans or anything like that. Like I had paid off my car right around the time when like I was about to move. And my supervisor was like, bro, you have literally nothing tied to you. Yeah. I have a family. Like it'd be nice to go and find a new job and with a better salary because Florida salaries I'm just dragging Florida
No,
in this
it's cool.
episode.
Listen, we moved out here, and some of the reasons were some of the reasons were where we came from. It's fair.
But he was like, you can go do this because there's nothing holding you back. And it's not like those things are burdens. I don't like to look at children or any of those things as but it does complicate things a little bit. And so that was a lot of the inspiration and also motivation to like go for it. And so I think that if you're in a position where you don't have anything tied to you, or if you have like a support, even if you have a supportive partner that's like willing to relocate with you, like, take the risk. Because if you don't, like, if you're like me, which hopefully you're not, but like you're going to sit with yourself for like the rest of your life thinking like, damn, like, why didn't I do that? And honestly, that's also why I think my brother and his wife and one of my best friends are coming out here, because they just are in a position where they're young enough that they don't have kids, and like they can make a move like this so that they can at least see like, well, we want to experience something new in our 20s and just see what's out here. There's so many opportunities in so many different career fields and creativity and art that, you can meet one person and it'll like change your life and
literally.
Be placed in the right rooms and, it's just, you never know what's going to happen from jumping. And like, I always like saying, take the leap. Yeah. Like, just take the leap. My friend once told me like, I think she got it from a book, but it's like when you like look down from somewhere, you don't see anything that's going to catch you. But when you jump, like a net appears and like, it catches you. Yeah. So like, don't be afraid to make that leap.
True. That's great. And sometimes you jump and then you kind of fall flat on the floor and
then you learn from that, and then you learn from that.
Then you get a cast, and then it heals over time, and then you kind of like set the net up for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's all about learning, or you jump a different way. I think that what you said about the things tying you down and having more responsibility than other people might have. I think that's incredibly crucial. I think that's a big reason why we have a lot of people not having children compared to what it used to be. So like, I'm finally going to weddings, right? And I'm 27 and all my friends that are getting married are 28, 29, 30. And my parents had weddings when they were 20, 21, 22, right? They were all going to weddings at that time. And we live in a time where I feel like more people wanted to
take their time,
take their time and take risks on themselves and not have anything that could prevent them from taking that risk. Because you're right, like having a family would be something that's, it's incredibly beautiful. And it's really, it's an experience that at some point everyone should have, building a family of your own and or integrating within a family. Everybody should have that, because that's crucial to being a human. But when you are young, that is the one time in your life where you don't need a family to do what you want to do. You don't have to depend on someone. You can find it within yourself to depend on yourself. And then as you go along, you meet people and you find things within those people that benefit you, that add to you instead of taking away. Yeah. And I think that having that opportunity in life, being able to do those kinds of things, so being in a position, like you said, where you're young, you don't have kids, you don't have any significant payments that you got to be paying off, you don't have insane responsibilities, right? That's a very, very privileged position to be in. And people see that and they're like, people in that position often feel very disconnected or very purposeless. And it's sad, because that's where you strike the match and the flame lights, it's not when you're 40 and you have 3 kids and you've been with the same person for 20 years and like you're just going to that's not when the inspiration comes into your life. It's important that you kind of like take advantage of it now.
It's like good to recognize, like exactly. I also recognize like the position that I'm in is like a very privileged one, and like very grateful for like my parents who like let me stay with them, and
not everybody has that.
And but like when you are aware of like the current situation that you're in and like you can do something about it, that's when it's like, yeah, like just try, like just go for it, because you may not ever be in that position again. Like I recognize that I could lose my job like in a year, or like who knows what could happen in 2 years, 6 months from now, a month from now. So it's like the time is always now, like with whatever you want to do, like just do something today. Try to plan it out, or don't even plan, just go for it, you know.
And you know, it's also about giving opportunities to people that may not be able in our position as well. I think that's a big thing. And there are a lot of and you know, I'll say men because we're both, you know, we both identify as men, and we also are in a time where it's really complicated to be a man. I feel like, at least I think that more than ever, we are seeing loneliness be a huge factor in the lives of men. And we are seeing really insane drawbacks to kind of the world that we've led ourselves into. And it's a beautiful world, and we're making so much progress in a lot of ways, but there are a lot of people that are so lonely. And I think there are a lot of statistics coming out nowadays in where men are way more likely to be lonely, and they're less likely to admit it. And it's just it's funny because it makes total sense, right? Yeah. And I guess when you first came out here to New York and you were first experiencing what it was like to be here, did you ever have that bout of loneliness?
Absolutely, dude. Yeah. Like, absolutely. That's why me and Ashley dated. Love you, Ashley. Yeah, love
shout
you.
Out to Ashley.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a very long-winded story, but to recap that, like, I did have connections here. I had a bit of a small support system here, family that I stood with for, you know, a few months, kind of couch surfing. And I know, like, you also had, like, a similar path to with, like, the living situation. It's crazy when you come out here. Yeah. But, what's it called? It just was like okay, I'm here. I don't have any of my friends. I missed my friends so much. I was really going through it. Like, the time that we met, like, I was going through it. Like, I felt depressed for, like, the first 6 months. And I would say it, though. Like, the difference between, I guess, me and some other guys is, like, I will admit and over communicate and just be in my feels, man.
Good. I'm so glad.
And it's not always the best thing, but we're trying. We're all work in progress. But, you know, I definitely leaned on her for a lot of things, and I'm very grateful for that. Like, I wouldn't have changed that experience at all. For sure. But, you know, I didn't know a lot of people. Me and my friend moved out here together, but he lived all the way in Washington Heights.
Jesus.
I don't know why you did that, Gian. No, he had his own trajectory. And so, you know, when you're in different boroughs and different neighborhoods, like, you don't really see each other. It's a kind of a pain. Like, you know, like, oh, you live in the Upper West Side. Like, I'll see you once a year.
Yeah, tough, man. I'm not going to your house ever.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a friend that did that, and they ended up leaving.
It's rough.
Because we were the only friends, and then we just
never like, they went back.
They went back to Orlando, yeah. He just never wanted to. We never wanted to meet each other because
what is the midpoint in that? Like, LES, like,
and then going to each other's cribs. It's like it's different in New York, man. You can't just, like, in Orlando, you can just pull up and you be in a house and, like, you could whip it and be in a big ass house. Like, here you go to your friend's crib and you're sitting in their kitchen. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And their bedroom and their bathroom. Like,
I will still drag Florida, but yeah, it does suck sometimes.
It's the space. Man.
But, you know, it was just one of those things that, like, I kind of, you know, felt very dependent on, you know, on this person. And like, I was outside of that, like, when I was not with this person, like, I'd feel very, like, alone, very, like, just in my emotions. I would want to call my friends all the time. And then when, you know, once there's distance established, you know, and we're also constantly, like, adulting and aging, like, going through other adult experiences, like, you know, we just kind of tend to have less and less time for each other. We're committed to other things. We're distracted and occupied and prioritizing other things. So it was not like I could just get them all on the phone all the time and talk to them. And even when I did, I'd just be like, oh, I'm sad, I miss you guys, and remember when? I'm the friend that's like, yo, remember when? You remember that one time? Can't stand myself. And a lot of them, still made time, but it was just not the same. It's not the same as in-person interaction. Mm-hmm. So it was really hard. And it wasn't until like I kind of felt more established in my apartment and, out in Bushwick and like just going to more cafes, going to the photo lab, West Lab, that like, shout out to Shrey. Like I just felt more connected and like I felt like I was making more friends and like meeting more people and hanging around groups that like I needed to be around and really feeling more at home. Yeah. And that loneliness would like start to wither away. Yeah. And honestly, I just kind of learned to be really happy with myself too. Like I would love to go out to dinners by myself and go to the park by myself. Same. Cafes by myself. Like
I think that's why it worked out for me too.
It's beautiful.
Even though I had my roommates, Franco and Joe, we stayed together for 4+ years. I had them the whole time, but I still was like super into my like solo bag. Like I loved being alone.
It's the best.
And I still do. Yeah. I still love just being like in solace, and I don't have to kind of respond to anything. I can just do what I want. And I think it's, to a detriment at some points. Like, sometimes you do too much of what you want. And
do you feel like more productive when you're alone or like have a moment?
I feel less productive when I'm alone. Productive? Yeah, I feel way less productive, which is not great. When Christina's in the home and like we're working on stuff.
You're like, we're working.
Yeah, we're working on stuff, right? We're like doing everything. And like, she's also like hyper productive person. She's probably the most productive person I've ever met in my life. And she does it. And she's still super healthy. I don't know how she makes it work.
Yeah, she's like always like on the move.
I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what's her battery, bro. But it's a wild thing to see. Anybody who knows her knows. But it's when she's here, she's like that positive force that kind of pushes you forward. Mm-hmm. But when I'm alone, dude, I just like I get real quiet, get real silent. I get real like I guess in my head. But I like it there. So I kind of...
It's a good headspace.
Don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind being there at all. But yeah, and one thing that I will mention as well is that, I think a big part of... related to what I was talking about with men and how we process things, I think, emotional intelligence is sorely lacking. And I think that a big part of emotional intelligence is like being willing to, admit when you're
messing
feeling
up
things, when you're messing things, when you're messing with things. It's like, God, it's so, I don't know what it is, but there's like a
dude, maybe it's a Latino
such
thing.
A deep pride. Yeah, there's such a deep pride that you want to be so I don't know, you want to be like established, you want to be solid, you want to be kind of like untouchable, you want to be badass, you want to be like I can fight lions with my bare fists. I can like,
I'll be dead.
Yeah, I can have a girl and also have another girl at the same time. I can have this job and work really hard, but then, I get home and I keep working and grind set and all this stuff. But then like, we're so fucked up. Like a lot of men are so fucked up, but they just never say anything about it. You could have a guy 2 days away from, and this sounds harsh, but you can have a guy 2 days away from committing suicide. And you talk to me like, hey, how you doing? He's like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, nothing. Like,
yeah. I know a lot of people like that.
Bro, yeah, I'm
not
like
dropping
that.
Names.
I'm like that. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I'm fine. Whatever, it's okay.
No, dude, talk to me, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, I'm gonna hit you up.
Yeah. That's what, and I think, like you mentioned perfectly. I think it's a part of being like, I mean, it's a part of being a man, but I think Latino families have it pretty bad.
It's like embedded in us.
Yeah. My dad is so stoic.
I told Anthony this. I'm gonna get my dad in therapy one day. It's gonna happen. We need that to happen. And I know what you mean with like being stoic and just kind of like is rigid like a good
rigid,
way to describe
rigid
it.
Is a good way to describe it. Yeah.
And I think my mom and I have like such a really good relationship. And I went out with someone one time and it was so funny. She like called me out, and she was like, all Latino men are like mama's boys. And I was like, yeah, man, I love my mom. What are you talking about? I don't care. Yeah. And I think like because of our dynamic and like I learned a lot from her too, like it's allowed me to shift my perspective, especially during the pandemic when everybody started to like use their brain and like reflect a lot. It just shifts the tone of like how we approach dating, how we approach handling our emotions, how we approach like our own introspection and self-reflection. And like I just try to carry that as much as I can because I know that it lacks within us a lot.
I will also say though too, on the same coin, I do feel like I guess maybe it happened mostly because of church and where I grew up, or like the way I grew up, but I think it did get to the point where I started to see my dad kind of open up a lot more. And I think it's also related to the fact that we live such a difficult life, that it kept us pretty close. It kept us together and it kept us dependent, and in a good way. And I did see a lot of moments where my dad did have to like break down and he couldn't really hide it anymore. And I think that, I did say my dad is a very stoic person, but I think the generation before his was way, way, way worse in terms of their emotional like availability, because this is the way they grew up, is very traditional and very kind of like they didn't have much time, to be frank. But my dad had a little bit more, and then I had a lot more time because of all the hard work that he did. Yeah, and I think that I was able to kind of through my mom as well, and I think especially with moms, they know they're with someone they've lived a life with someone who probably has trouble with their emotions. And I think that when they see a boy, they're like, you don't have to do this. Like, you don't have to have these troubles. You can open up to me, and I think that having a mom is a really big, having a mom that you are close to is a really big part of like being a more well-rounded adult later on in life.
I think every generation just tries to do something better.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what like our generation does, like we already are on such a like, I don't know how, like we like catapulted, like, with therapy and, just self-awareness and, being inclusive and like just all these different things that like millennials and Gen Z is now doing. It's very interesting. So I'm very curious to see like where things go. Yeah. I always have this joke, and this is not propaganda, I promise you, but I would always make this joke of like, end child trauma by not having children. And like, I feel like that's what, with people doing things much later in life and some people deciding, maybe it's not for me. And it's like, oh, there you go.
Well, and we're also adding, the addendum is like, end child trauma by not having children yet.
Or like, that, exactly. Yeah, I like that. I like that better.
You need to develop yourself before you start trying to develop someone else. Like, yeah. It's the age-old tale. It's like, bro, it's like, I have friends that want things, and I'm like, why do you want that?
Are you ready? Like, but you're never ready to.
I mean, but
you could be really like well established.
That's the thing, is that mostly when I see that, I'm like, because we talked about taking risks earlier. A lot of people want to take risks that will, like, are obviously not what they should be doing.
Let me reiterate. So like, like take a risk, but like think about it
like the risk at like some people, I don't like, I've had people borderline about to like leave the country, but I'll say it out loud. Franco, like almost, because he was with Kennedy at the time, which is this girl from Canada. It's a long story, but they were really into each other, right? 3 years deep into this relationship, long distance, man. It fucking sucks, right? And we're in New York, and it's been like 2-3 years that we're with each other. Probably like 2 years. And I remember sitting down having a conversation with him, and he was like, "Yeah, I might like move to Canada to be with her because I'm tired of long distance. She doesn't want to come here." Yeah. And we were first, all three of us cried because we were so sad that he was about to leave. And then I thought, I was like, you're ready to just like give it all up, like everything. That you are, like, your independence, your citizenship.
Yeah, honestly. But that's such a like intense, amplified emotion that I'm so like curious about too, because like for something to put you in a position like that where you're really ready to do that is extremely intense. And I mean, yeah, of course, think about what you want to do before you go out and like quit your job or, things like that. But I don't know, man, like the intensity behind that motivation is still pretty interesting.
And then the emotions behind it. You have to take calculated risks. Like you can't. Like I have friends now that are like that seriously want a dog. I'm like, bro,
just know what you're getting into.
It's like, dude, you
foster one first.
That we're fostering.
Exactly. Yeah.
Walter's in the other room right now.
Walter.
But like I can only foster, bro. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. And you guys at home, the only reason I can foster is because of Christine. She is a doctor. So she gets the necessary funds. She's the breadwinner in the family.
Love that.
She has a great resume in terms of, taking care of things. Beautiful home.
Right, because you have to like apply.
Grew up with dogs. Yeah, you have to interview and apply. And we have what we need to take care of something.
Yeah.
And we are also like pretty well in terms of our, mindset and our health. We're pretty healthy because of the time that we have. But bro, it's been 3 days with this dog. And I'm like, it's a baby. I wouldn't be able to do anything else. Like I'm trying to be productive in the time that I have, but then I have to go walk this dog. And it's like,
it's a responsibility, man.
And it's all because of temptation and like emotionality and temptation is a bastard, bro. Temptation is a motherfucker. You
don't have to tell me, man.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I fall to that all the time, but like I we all have friends, but that are it's just wild. It's a bit of a tangent, but I think one thing about being in New York is that there are a lot of ups and downs. I think something I say often is that to experience the highs, you gotta get the lows. You got to get the lows. You got to get the lowest lows. Like that's a part of life, and once you can come back from something so difficult, you can experience life in a completely different way. And I think that your spectrum just expands, and your range of emotions and your range of just human nature can expand pretty vastly. And then it feels like a reward in a lot of ways. But all that to say, what has been one of the hardest parts about being here, or what has been a hard moment that you've had being in New York? And then after that, I want to hear some of your best. What is your best moment about?
Okay, the
best thing
hardest.
Yeah,
I know this off rip already. Was I like fucking driving to Yonkers from Jackson Heights, Queens, Jackson Heights. Man, so the first job that I took, I'm not gonna say who I worked for, obviously, but I was getting paid like 18 something in Orlando as a TD. Again, terrible.
As a TD?
A technical director.
Oh, okay.
So I was lowballed for sure over there.
Yeah.
It's fine. We did it. It's on the resume. We're good. We're here. So I actually took a pay cut moving here. And like, obviously I thought New York, paid more. I was an editor now.
I will say $18 in Orlando is pretty good.
It's decent, but for the work that I was doing.
Nah, okay. I hear you.
We can get on to that
for sure.
later on. Yeah.
I already know.
But so I'm blessed. Let me not sound like an asshole.
No, you're good. You're good.
But I kind of took like a small pay cut. Plus, I was driving, paying for tolls, driving to Yonkers, and it was just rough parking. I would get home at like midnight. Jesus. I drove through the city like local to try and avoid tolls, and I remember doing that drive.
Tolls are so expensive too.
It was just such a fever dream, man. And I was like, what am I doing? Did I make the wrong decision? Like, I worked there for a few months. I was part-time, and they wouldn't give me like longer hours, shorter days. It was like more days, shorter hours. So I was like, bro, I'm wasting my time driving here. And I one time was trying to find parking. I found one. I thought I found one closer up the street. So I was like, let me just be lazy. It was a hydrant, and then I'm trying to pull back, and someone already went into that parking spot. And this is like at 1:30 in the morning. I had to wake up at like 8 a.m. the next day. And I'm, mind you, like half a mile or a mile from the apartment, because you can never find parking anywhere. And I'm like, I was like cursing so loud. I was yelling in the car. I never really get mad. Like, I'm a pretty chill person.
No,
but
that
I
would
was like,
that would throw me off the fucking
I
edge,
like exploded,
bro.
dude. I exploded, and I was like,
I'd break something in that car.
Yeah, dude. I was like slamming the thing. I was like, no, no, no. And then I had to circle around a few more times for parking just so I could move the car because they cleaned the streets. No, that was the worst experience that I had here in New York, honestly. Like,
I would have ate that ticket, bro.
Honestly, I did a few times. I parked by the hydrant and it's like, you know what? Whatever. $100. Fuck it. Like, it is what it is. And so, yeah, those, when I think back about those moments, I'm even surprised that I even did that and like pushed through that because there were so many times where I was so tempted to just be like, I should just go back. Like, I'm not finding any more work. I'm not happy where I'm working. I'm not even doing anything creatively with my time. So I'm like, I feel like I'm moving backwards.
Yeah.
But I think to pivot and talk about some of the best things or like the best moments in New York, there's been so many. Like, I mean, okay, I think the highlight of being here in New York was like hosting that like birthday party photo album thing that I did. And that's when like I think kind of snowballed our friendship because you guys came out. I was surprised that Anthony was even like, yo, this sounds fun. I'll slide through. I was like, I like barely talked to you, but this is so nice. Like, yeah, please, you know? Yeah. And just to feel very loved and celebrated with like a new craft that I was pursuing because I just started a year ago, honestly. And then a few months ago, I actually bought like a newer, better SLR to like take better pictures, more portrait style photos. Yeah. And so I'm surprised and happy with like what I've been able to do within a year and to feel all that support. Like, New York is very supportive. Like, you find your way into a community or you meet people or you like just like immerse yourself in like a group of friends or in spaces, and like most people are very forward and genuine and like very quick to support you or to just be interested in you, and you reciprocate that, and then you just like build an organic thing and are able to. I feel like here everyone's very like scratching each other's back, but like it's not even a scratching each other's back. It's like massages at this point. Like, you got me, you got my shoulders for a bit, then I got you, the whatever, you know. And it's just like we want to do that for each other, and we want to see each other grow and like pursue the things that we love. And so those have been like the best things about being here, is just feeling very supportive. And you know, even at the film lab that I go to, like Shrey has always been very nice and kind to me and like made me feel welcome as like a amateur film photographer, because I don't know, I feel like a novice, you know. There's many technical things that I'm like, what?
For sure.
I'm just shooting with my eye, man, because I used to do that with like video and stuff, so I kind of know, but I don't, like, you know. Yeah,
that's fair. And then I will say it's a beautiful thing that you're saying that, because, you know, I feel the same exact way when it comes to communities within New York. And I think that a lot of the energy that you feel when it comes to people being more forward and genuine is truly because we kind of need each other out here. I think that if you're not connected to your community while you're in New York, you are setting yourself up for disaster. Yeah. And you are kind of you're just making it harder on yourself when you don't really need to, when there are so many people that are willing to support you. And the one thing I will say about Project Feel is that that's kind of where I found that, right? And when you meet those people that are willing to, like you said, scratch your back, massage your back is a way better way to say that, because that's what it feels like at times. People are so willing to support. And when you find the right people as well, there are a lot of people that aren't, and a lot of people that will take advantage of you. But you have, you know, knowledge and maturity and wisdom and the emotional intelligence is incredibly important, especially when you're out here, and you learn that the hard way. But you also learn it from people that you meet. And I learned a lot from Project Feel, and, you know, I'm sure the communities that you've been involved in are incredible in a similar way. And I did want to chat about that photo album night just briefly, because I want to end off with something else. But it was really cool. I've never been to a night where, like, so basically the context is you invited us all over to not only celebrate your life, but also unveil and present to us these photo albums. Yeah. Where you just had a lot of memories and things that you've been experiencing, obviously because of your photography, but they were captured so beautifully. They had stories alongside them and like notes and things like that. And I had never been invited to a space to enjoy something so, so like centered and focused on a thing. Usually it's like a big thing where there's like a massive paintings or kind of like somebody playing music or, a movie or whatever. But this was kind of like, here's these photo albums and you can just kind of enjoy it.
I like a tangible thing. Yeah. Like I like something that you can like hold on to. Mm-hmm. And I've always liked the concept of a classic family photo album.
Yeah. True.
And that's kind of what the inspiration was. Mm-hmm. And excuse me, what I would kind of hope to still do, like I think every year maybe do like a different one or like maybe start creating themes and series, like a series for it. Because it's just fun, like, and you pass it around and like everyone's just being able to like look through it and make their comments or whatever, and still just like it. I don't know, I'm not that much of a serious person. I feel like I'm very like I could have made that very serious. I could have spent a lot of money to like blow out the photos and everything, and a lot of people were telling me to do that, like these are really nice, this one's really nice, you should like blow this out and like hang it, whatever. And I'm like, I appreciate you like giving me advice or like making suggestions, but like this is me and this reflects like my personality too. So I don't know, but that was honestly,
that's awesome.
Top 10 moment of life.
That was really fun. And something else that you revamped this year and relaunched, because you said that you came out here with an intention, a specific project.
Yeah.
And you are now venturing back into that, and you changed it a bit, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Before. So what we're talking about is We Are Human. If you could give us a brief
description
summary
of it. I'm always rebranding this thing.
No, it's cool. No, I love it. You gotta love the change.
We Are Human is like really just like it started as a podcast back in the pandemic. It's, talking about human experiences, how we like, reflect on those experiences, what we've learned about them, and just like conversations about our lives, And then I, brought that here. I was very interested in doing it here with like people, New York City stories, and stuff like that. It was very inspired by Humans of New York, but like I often had to like think about how can I separate myself from this.
For sure.
And so it kind of formed into like, or morphed into like a time capsule project, which that's also something that I'm like fascinated by. Like I'm a very nostalgic person. I love, like I said, I'm that remember when guy. And I want to capture someone in a moment and, kind of just document how they're feeling in that time and in that space and what they're going through, what they've been able to acknowledge that they've learned about themselves, what they're hoping to learn. And like, I'm incorporating an element of like shooting it in a place that is special to them. So that way that they can always have a picture of them or a photo of them in a space that means something to them. And maybe in 3 years, like it won't even mean nothing to them, but like in that moment it did. You chose this place and it's very cool. And so like the whole tagline or like if it was like a hashtag to incorporate with it, it's very much like somewhere in New York City, right? Like we're somewhere in Park Slope, we're somewhere in Brooklyn Heights, we're somewhere in Bushwick. Like it's a place that it's a cafe, a park, wherever, like an intersection, that is special to someone that for whatever reason, whether it was school, a relationship, where they first moved, when they moved to New York. And it's just a short like audio recording and a little photo shoot using film photography, because that's what I'm using these days. And I'm very excited for it. I'm very excited to do some more. I just finished like the first batch of 10 episodes.
10, wow.
So I gotta keep going. Like I can't stop.
You have to. That's I guess it's the way to do it if you really believe in it, and even on the days where it's like, God, nobody's even like looking at this, And
I've learned to put a lot less pressure on myself because when I was doing it in a podcast format, so like honestly, kudos to you. Like it's a lot.
It's not easy.
A lot. And
that's why I
like,
have a team now.
There you go. And I was just so overwhelmed and like giving myself a hard time about like numbers and who's actually watching it. And I would share the link with everyone, all my friends, like tune in, or when it would be like a premiere you could do on YouTube, like let's all do a watch party. I was like, I don't want any of that anymore. Like I'm not sending the link to anybody. If you're interested, check it out. I'm just doing one post per person. and that's it. Like, it's very, I don't want to think about it too much because then I know that I'm not going to have fun. One of the more fun things about this project too is like getting to see spaces that I would never go to. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I have passed by like the Flatiron District and stuff before, obviously, but there are like specific spaces now that like I was with someone the other day that I would have never really sat in.
Yeah.
Or, you know, going somewhere to Chinatown, and it's like I would never willingly make the time to go to these places because I don't know about certain like hole in the walls or whatever. And so the fact that I can experience this with someone that is so enthusiastic about the place, it's very like wholesome.
Yeah.
And exciting. So I do love that too, that element of the project.
And it's beautiful, and it's important. It's an important part of life, and I'm glad that you got to that point in your content where you, because you know, it's important to of course market and of course do it properly to get numbers, and if you want to make it work, you know, if you want to make something work, you kind of have to do a lot of the nitty-gritty stuff that you might not feel good about, or you feel like you shouldn't need to do these things. But there are projects where you don't have to do any of that. Like, you can really make it about what you want to see. Yeah. And I think oftentimes those kind of shine through more than anything else because it's truly where your passions are. And I think that the right people who need to see it will see it, and they will appreciate it. And it's going to feel, you know, all the better that you didn't have to tell them to be there. Yeah. So one thing about, you know, doing music as well, which we'll talk about briefly, but doing music, it's like, you know, you have a show and people show up, but you asked everyone there to be there. Yeah, and, right. You know, come to this sometimes show. They don't exactly show that they want to be there or, you know, want to have a good time. And it's more about supporting a friend than it is about enjoying art. Yeah. And I think that we need to get away from that a little bit. It's important to support friends. It really is. It's great. I love it. But if you're just going to support and stand there while I'm, you know, giving my all, like, if you don't want to see the art, then I just would rather you not. That's a really, like, if you don't want to partake in the art. Yeah. You know, like an interesting topic because that's why, like, that goes into like this whole other tangent, which we don't have to get into, but just to like acknowledge it. No, yeah. Is like being a fan of someone that you would want to work with, and like sometimes things can feel a bit superficial or like transactional, especially here in New York. But like, don't do that with someone that you actually don't enjoy, like their music or like their style or like their whatever content or creation that they're doing, like just because of who they are or whatever. Like, there are local artists that I want to start getting into, like concert photography, and I genuinely, like, I listen to them. And so I'm like, I would love to, you know, connect and take pictures at your show and like just do it for free. Like, here you go, like have something so you also know who I am and like that I am a fan. You know, we're making art together at the end of the day. Exactly. Yeah. Rather than like what we wanted to do. Yeah, instead of asking friends to show up to some place. Oh man, I'm gonna have to think about it. We're gonna have an office hours meeting. That's what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, office. Shout out to office hours because you do music as well. Yeah, and you're getting. It's gonna be a fun time. We'll see what happens. What's next with the office hours? We need to just make an album. Honestly, we've been talking about this. This has been an ongoing like thing for 5 years, but because none of us have been in the same city for so long, everyone went to college in different cities. I mean, Gian went to University of Michigan. So like we were together for like holidays and like maybe a month out of the summer. Yeah. So now that everyone will be here very soon, it's kind of like, okay, how exciting. We have a lot to like really cover because it's like, what do we want to really sound like? We only have like a few songs out, and it's like we also are not those people anymore. Yeah. So how do we want to approach making music and making it fun and like first and foremost at the end of the day? That's awesome. And just so you're aware, I am offering my friends studios. So if y'all ever need help or anything in terms of that, listen, know. I have some friends, and I'm sure they won't mind because I'm going to tell them to not mind because I would love to see y'all make some music. Appreciate that. Yeah, of course. No, listen, we got back on them drums. When you got the resources, it's all about sharing them because that's. Yeah, dude. You know, people got to stop gatekeeping. Yeah. Here and there. Here and there, okay. We have different opinions about it. We gotta gatekeep here and there. You don't like gatekeeping? Sometimes, right? You gotta do
I
something.
actually I had a feeling you would feel some type of way about this, bro. Like I just knew. But like I get what you're saying too, though.
Yeah.
Like to a degree,
There's a balance.
it's important to like. I don't know. I think I was so for it for a little bit because like I really love Pharrell, and Pharrell was like, "Bro, share those codes, man. Like we gotta uplift everybody.
Yeah.
Like share the codes."
Share the
And I'm
codes.
like, I love it. Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll listen to whatever Pharrell
Yeah.
says, you know. But yeah, it's important to like. You worked hard to get somewhere to develop your craft for a reason, and you know you had less access or less resources. So it's not like. Maybe there are times with people that you trust and actually, again, are genuinely fans of that you would be like, here are some resources, here are some tips and things that I did to like help you out.
I mean, when it comes to like tips and stuff, and it's like how the best practices and stuff, like you share that. You need to. You should
but
share
like,
that. You have an obligation
the
to, in my
people,
opinion.
the connections.
But when with the resources that you have that are limited, you know, you kind of have to. Until my resources are unlimited, I'm gonna have to be a little bit more.
That's the goal, man.
We'll maybe we'll get there one day. We'll see. If not, it's all good. You know, we're living life. Honestly, all I care about is, you know, making art and
being happy.
Yeah, having conversation and doing this kind of stuff. So, you know, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for not throwing me any curveballs.
No, yeah, of course. Oh, last question. How do you feel? I'm kidding.
I don't know anything about the Cavs, man. I don't know anything about basketball.
It's all good. Listen, one day I'll make a basketball podcast, and then everybody can know what to expect. Yeah, no, I appreciate you being here. Last thing before we end off the episode today. What do you have coming up next? How can we support? You know, you don't have to give dates or specifics, but like, where can we find everything? And, you know, it's going to be in the bio for most of the information, but like, if you have something specific coming out, or, you know, there's something you want people to go to, let us know. And then also after that, if you have any words of wisdom to leave us off with.
So you can follow wearehuman.tv. That's on Instagram. That's where I post a lot of the pictures that I'm taking. And I am hoping to start like the second wave of film. I'm doing it like in waves of 10. Yeah. Just to like keep myself, like not overwhelm myself. I mean, shoot, I would book like 4 shoots one week, and I was like, why did I do this? Yeah. So that should be coming out pretty soon. I already have a few that are done. And I'm excited about. I also want to do something with like a self-portrait series that I'm hoping to work on.
That's fun.
That I'm also excited about. I just have to workshop it a little bit. But, you know, I'm just going to be shooting a lot more. So you'll find stuff there. And any words of wisdom? Shoot. What did you say last time, Anthony? I would just really say, like, if you're like super enthusiastic about whatever it is that it can be, whether it's drawing, podcasting, music, photography, like really own in and just like give yourself that time to like strengthen it and do it. And like, we get so caught up, especially here in this busy ass life, and a lot of people want to go out, and like I'm victim of that too. Like, oh, we're going out, let's go get drinks, let's go do this. And there's nothing wrong with like having a good time in moderation, but like there's so many good things that you could do with your time. And I'm projecting, I'm telling myself this right now. So like so like just do like use the time that you do have, use it wisely, and like dedicate it to the things that you really love, and to the people that are really important to you also. Like give them that time that they deserve, because
please, oh my God,
we'll be out here giving time and dedication to like social media and other things that aren't that important and without that much substance. So that's what I would say. But I'm super grateful to have been here, man.
Yeah,
like,
no, thank you for sharing and being willing to give us your time. And I just want to second that, you know, just do stuff with your friends, man. Like, do stuff for them, do stuff with them.
The barbecue was mad fun. You cooked some crazy ass burgers, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't even that.
No. You deserved. I'm giving you your flowers, man. That burger, I said.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. I pride myself in mine.
Grilling ain't easy.
No, it's not.
I'll say that.
It's very difficult. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate.
Oh no, not the phone. I appreciate you too, man.
Thank you, man. That's a wrap. Yay! Sweet. Great episode, bro. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Dude, thank you, man.
Of course. Feels good to be back in the stew.
That was just like the practice run, right?
Oh, man.